Everyone is talking about the United States. Everyone is talking about the 4 goals. Everyone is talking about Folarin Balogun's historic brace. And after that dominant 4-1 win over Paraguay, many fans already think this game is over before it even starts. But what if that's exactly the mistake? Because while America grabbed the headlines, Australia may have delivered the bigger warning. A team that had just 29% possession. A team that faced 30 shots. A team that almost nobody gave a chance against Turkey still walked away with a 2-0 victory. Now they're coming to Seattle with confidence, momentum, and absolutely nothing to lose. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because sometimes the most dangerous team in a World Cup isn't the favorite. It's the team nobody sees coming. So, is the USA about to announce itself as a genuine contender? Or is Australia preparing the next great World Cup upset? Let's break it down. The United States could not have asked for a better start. Before the tournament began, there were questions everywhere. Could Mauricio Pochettino finally unlock this generation? Could this talented squad handle the pressure of a home World Cup? Could they actually make a deep run? Against Paraguay, they answered all of those questions with authority. From the opening whistle, the Americans played with intensity. They pressed aggressively, they attacked with purpose, and most importantly, they looked confident. The result was historic. 4 goals, a 3-goal World Cup victory, and Folarin Balogun becoming the first American player since 1930 to score twice in a World Cup match. Suddenly, belief is growing. But here's where things get interesting. Paraguay allowed the USA to play. Australia won't, and that's a completely different challenge. Because Australia's victory over Turkey wasn't built on possession. It wasn't built on beautiful football. It was built on suffering. The Socceroos spent long stretches defending, absorbing pressure, blocking passing lanes, protecting their penalty area, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When it came, they took it. Nestori Irankunda punished Turkey on the counterattack. Connor Metcalf added another. Patrick Beach produced the performance of his life in goal. And suddenly Australia became one of the stories of the tournament. Now they arrive in Seattle knowing something important. The pressure isn't on them, it's on America. And in World Cups, pressure changes everything. Here's the scary part for USA fans. Australia already exceeded expectations. The United States hasn't. That means the emotional burden sits entirely on one side. And sometimes that's where surprises begin. This game is fascinating because both teams want completely different matches. The United States wants control. Australia wants chaos. America wants possession. Australia wants transitions, America wants sustained pressure, Australia wants moments, and that clash of styles could decide everything. Let's start with the USA. Under Pochettino, the Americans have become far more aggressive. Their fullbacks push high. Tyler Adams protects the midfield. Weston McKennie attacks spaces. Balogun constantly stretches defenses. And when Christian Pulisic is available, the attack becomes significantly more dangerous. The idea is simple. Win the ball high, attack quickly, overwhelm opponents. Against Paraguay, it worked beautifully. But Australia presents a unique problem, because the Socceroos don't mind defending deep. In fact, they almost prefer it. Against Turkey, they spent most of the match without the ball, yet somehow looked comfortable. Why? Because their structure remained compact. The distances between players stayed small. The defensive line remained organized, and whenever possession changed, they attacked directly. That could create problems for the USA, especially when their fullbacks push forward. Because every time Anthony Robinson or Sergiño Dest attacks, space opens behind them. And Australia has players capable of exploiting exactly that space, particularly one player we'll discuss in a moment. But there's another battle developing, the midfield, and it may decide the entire match. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman against Aidan O'Neill, Paul Ocon Jr., Connor Metcalf. On paper, America has the superior talent, but World Cups aren't played on paper. Australia's midfield isn't trying to dominate possession. They're trying to disrupt rhythm, break passing lanes, force mistakes, slow the game down. If they succeed, frustration starts building, and frustrated favorites make mistakes. That's exactly what Australia wants. Then there are set pieces, one of the most underrated factors entering this match. Australia's back three features serious aerial presence. Harry Sitar alone can change games from corners. The United States has improved defensively on dead balls, but knockout stage football often arrives earlier than expected in tournaments. One set piece, one mistake, one moment. That's all it takes, and Australia knows it. Let's begin with the obvious name, Folarin Balogun, the star of the opening round. Against Paraguay, he looked unstoppable. His movement was intelligent. His finishing was clinical. His confidence exploded. But now comes the real test. Can he score when space disappears? Can he score against defenders sitting deep? Can he remain effective when Australia places multiple bodies around him? Elite strikers answer those questions. And this match could reveal exactly where Balogun stands. But if Balogun is America's biggest weapon, Nestori Irankunda might be Australia's. And honestly, he could become the story of the match. Because every tournament produces a breakout star, a player casual fans barely knew before the competition. Then suddenly, the entire football world is talking about them. Irankunda might be next. The 20-year-old winger was electric against Turkey. Every counterattack felt dangerous. Every touch created uncertainty. Every sprint forced defenders backward, and against an American team likely to attack aggressively. The opportunities could be there again. Imagine this scenario. USA pushing numbers forward, Seattle crowd roaring, Australia defending deep. Then one turnover, one pass, one sprint. Suddenly, Irankunda is racing toward goal. That's the nightmare scenario for America, and the dream scenario for Australia. Then there's Christian Pulisic, possibly the biggest question entering the game. Reports suggest he should be available, but World Cups are unpredictable. If he's not fully fit, everything changes. Because Pulisic doesn't just provide goals, he provides gravity. Defenders react differently when he's on the field. Passing lanes open. Teammates gain space, the entire attack becomes more dangerous. If he's limited, Australia's defensive task becomes much easier. That's a storyline worth watching until kickoff. Another player who deserves attention, Patrick Beach, the goalkeeper nobody expected to become a hero. 8 saves against Turkey, a clean sheet, and now potentially the biggest match of his career. The question isn't whether he'll be busy, the question is whether he can do it again. Because chances are coming, the United States will create opportunities. The real mystery is whether Beach can keep producing miracles. Now here's where things become really interesting. Because everybody is focused on what America did right. Not enough people are focused on what Australia wants them to do. Australia wants America confident. Australia wants America attacking. Australia wants America committing numbers forward. Why? Because every extra attacker creates extra space, and Australia thrives in space. Look back at the Turkey match. The Socceroos weren't trying to dominate, they were baiting, inviting pressure, waiting for mistakes, then punishing them. Could the same thing happen here? Absolutely. In fact, it's probably Australia's preferred script, which means the first goal becomes massive. If America scores first, the game opens up. Australia must chase. USA gains control. Everything becomes easier. But if Australia scores first, now the pressure becomes enormous. The crowd grows nervous. The passing becomes rushed. The favorites become vulnerable. And suddenly, an upset becomes very real. That's why the opening 30 minutes may decide the entire night. Pulisic starts. Balogun continues his form. America scores early. Australia is forced out of its defensive shell. The Americans dominate possession and win comfortably, something like 3-1. Defend deep, stay organized, frustrate America, hit on transitions, let Irankunda attack open spaces, score first, force panic, win 2-1. Exactly the type of game nobody predicted. This is where things get fascinating. I don't think this match looks anything like USA versus Paraguay. Australia won't allow it. The Socceroos are too disciplined, too organized, too comfortable suffering without possession. I expect a slower game, a tighter game, a more tactical game, one where patience matters, one where individual moments decide everything, and one where America is tested far more than most fans expect. But before making a final prediction, let's ask the questions nobody can answer yet. Was Australia's victory over Turkey the beginning of something special, or simply the perfect storm? Can Patrick Beach produce another heroic performance? Can Pulisic stay healthy? Can Balogun prove his opener wasn't a one-game explosion? Can Irankunda handle the spotlight? Can Australia survive another wave of pressure? And perhaps the biggest question of all, how will America respond when things stop going perfectly? Because every contender eventually faces adversity. Maybe this is the night it arrives. Here's why this game is so dangerous for the United States. Not because Australia has more talent. They don't. Not because Australia should be favored. They shouldn't. It's dangerous because Australia has a clear identity, a clear plan, and zero fear. Those teams are always dangerous, especially in World Cups. Still, over 90 minutes, talent usually matters. Home support matters. Momentum matters. And right now, the United States has all three. I expect Australia to make life extremely uncomfortable. I expect long periods of frustration. I expect moments where the crowd gets nervous. But eventually, I think America's quality breaks through. Balogun's movement, McKennie's energy, Pulisic's creativity, if fit, it should be enough. My prediction, USA 2-1 Australia. A much tougher game than most fans expect, and a result that keeps America on course for a deep World Cup run. But here's the thing, even if the USA wins, the real story may just be beginning. Because if Australia pushes them all the way, the rest of the tournament will take notice. And if the Socceroos pull off another upset, Group D changes completely. The bracket changes. The knockout stage changes. And suddenly, one of the biggest World Cup stories is born. So when the whistle blows in Seattle, don't just watch the scoreline. Watch the warning signs. Because everyone thinks USA wins. And that's exactly why Australia is dangerous.